Awesome. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Madera County Transportation Commission meeting. It's September 18th, a little after 3. We'll call this meeting to order. And we will start with any remote requests to participate in the meeting.
We have Commissioner Poitras, who is appearing remotely at RC, and he is appearing for Just Cause.
Okay, and because of that, we'll have a roll call.
Yes. Are you ready for attendance? Okay. Commissioner Rodriguez.
Here.
Commissioner Ahmed.
Here.
Chair Gonzalez.
Here.
Chair Gallego, Vice Chair Gallegos.
Here.
Commissioner Rogers.
Here.
Commissioner Poitras.
Yes.
You may have a form.
Okay, thank you. And then we will officially start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Ready, salute.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. First item on the agenda is public comment. This time is made available for comments from the public on matters within the board's jurisdiction that are not on the agenda. Each speaker will be limited to 3 minutes. Attention is called to the fact that the board is prohibited by law from taking any substantive action on matters discussed that are not on the agenda, and no adverse conclusions should be drawn if the board does not respond to the public comment at this time. It is requested that no comments be made during this period on items that are on today's agenda. Members of the public may comment on any item that is on today's agenda when that item is called. We have any public comment?
We do not have any online.
Okay, I will close public comment. MCTC sitting as the Transportation Policy Committee. Item 4, transportation consent items. Any member wishing to pull or discuss?
Second.
First and a second, any public comment on this item? Roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Rogers.
Yes.
Commissioner Gallegos.
Yes.
Commissioner Rodriguez.
Yes.
Commissioner Ahmed.
Yes.
Commissioner Poitras.
Yes.
Commissioner Gallegos. Oh, yeah, I'm so sorry.
One more time.
Commissioner
You voted
Gonzalez.
twice.
Yes. Thank you, motion carried.
Item 5A, 2024 Valley Voice, Washington DC recap.
Yes, hi, everyone. I'm sorry I'm joining you remotely today, but we were in DC last week. Councilmember Rodriguez and Supervisor Poitras and myself for the Valley Voice, attended by all counties in the Valley from as far south as Kern to as far as San Joaquin, and well represented. We advocated on behalf of our federal platform, or joint platform, which mainly focused on highway projects and air quality, rail projects, funding, reauthorization principles. And we did have an opportunity to advocate for certain projects in the Madera County area at the Department of Transportation, and also with our local representatives up at Capitol Hill. And those projects that we did focus on were projects that have been currently submitted for grants, and that is the high-speed rail station in Madera, as well as the State Route 41 expressway. But normally when we return back from DC, I like to allow the commissioners that attended an opportunity to provide a few comments related to the trip. So with that, Councilmember Rodriguez and Supervisor Poitras, didn't know if you had anything that you'd like to add in addition to my very brief comments. Thank you.
Allow Commissioner Poitras to, I know he's been waiting to say something, so.
Oh, well, thank you, Commissioner. I appreciate it. It's, yeah, it was a great honor of mine to join my colleagues from the Madera County Transportation Commission last week on Capitol Hill to advocate for San Joaquin Valley as well as Madera County projects. We had our name tag deals to identify so others would know who we are. And also packets that had all the information and the talking points. Appreciate those that were handed out. Georgina Vivian was is our new consultant coordinator. And I thought she did a fantastic job. She even played some music during one of the sessions. Her phone went off and Journey, Don't Stop Believing happened, but it was really funny. It was really nice and everybody really enjoyed it. So, but no, she did a fantastic job for her first time. And matter of fact, she just took on the job 2 months ago. So it was like drinking water air hose, but again, distinguished herself. Commissioner Rodriguez has really been growing in the role over the last couple of years as he on the policy council, as he has advocated in Sacramento on many occasions, as well as DC. He continues to do that and develop relationships with our colleagues. And I'd like to mention that our executive director as well, she's definitely a true leader in the effort, and others were looking to her and reaching out to her for guidance on a number of issues. And I think that her quiet leadership is also demonstrated by her position as a reminder. I don't think a lot of people, it kind of goes in passing, but she is the executive director or the chair of the board of Self-Help Counties this year. And we just happen to be in the middle of a self-help county effort. So at our own county. So it was, I think, a great trip, and a lot of connections were made. And we even had a good meeting with Congressman McClintock. And I think we've discovered the secret with Congressman McClintock. Basically, you talk about the things that he will agree to and advocate for. You don't throw things out there that he's not really supportive of. So anyway, otherwise we had a very pleasant conversation. So with that, it was really good. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Poitras. Anything you'd like to add?
Yeah, just to add, I think Commissioner Poitras certainly said it all, a lot of details. But the opportunity that we had with the Regional Policy Council, again, it says 8 counties coming together, advocating for the common needs that we have, which is, projects that we have in place right now, which is transportation, air quality, rail infrastructure. And part of my rehearse lines that I had was, of course, the budget appropriations. And a lot, really just advocating for that through the infrastructure bipartisan bill and the Inflation Reduction Act, that they didn't really take anything from that. They didn't cut any funding, or at least keep us at the levels that they have before as they're reaching their budget. Obviously, that's not going to happen October 1st, and that may be extended. We continue to plead that not to make any cutbacks to any of those projects. A lot of the times, our regional plan agencies already have projects underway, and cutting any of that money would certainly devastate the efforts not only with partners like Caltrans. We have certain projects that are already underway, so any additional funding that's been granted or earmarked for any of these projects are certainly hurt us. So I think Supervisor Poitras again did an excellent job. Again, thanks to Executive Director Taylor, she did a great job in keeping us on task and also advocating for the Valley. But I look forward to continue advocating. I know that the city itself, we have a lot of stuff in common with a lot of these counties because we're all Central Valley. So a lot of their common issues are no different than ours. Obviously, we're all trying to expand. We're all trying to create better transportation needs. So working together, I think this gives us a Valley voice. So with that, Madam Chair, that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Taylor has her hand raised.
Yes, I failed to mention one comment. We're working in real time, and so sometimes we need information quickly. So I wanted to thank county staff, Jared Carter, for responding. We're 3 hours ahead, and I needed details on certain projects, and he responded quickly in that regard. And so I appreciate the assistance from for that particular project during that moment in time where we needed immediate information. Thank you.
Good job, Jared.
Thank you.
And I'm sorry, I would be remiss if I didn't give a special thanks to Congressman Costa and Congressman Duarte, which represented this area for some time. Obviously, Costa took most of the time there, didn't really get a chance to speak much, but he certainly articulated well certain things that he was proposing for our community and did Congressman Duarte. So that's all I have. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you. Do we have any public comment on this item? Okay, seeing none, we will, thank you very much for the update, and we will move on to 5B. Update 2026 Regional Transportation Plan and Sustainable Community Strategy.
Thank you. Yes, we have a couple slides to go along with this one too. This is just an update. We have kicked off our SCS project, as we mentioned in July, when we retained a firm to help us with the SCS effort. That is quite a big project, entails a lot of very detailed technical work, but it also spreads out into really doing a lot of public engagement. And today what we're going to talk about is mostly going to focus on how we're kicking things off, especially with the public engagement. If we go to the next slide, please. So we have provided a timeline here. There are a lot of elements in this timeline, as this will be a 2+ year project. It takes quite a while to do a plan for the whole county for every mode of transportation and make sure we're talking to as many people as we can and putting together the best plan we can for our region's needs. So this is available on our website as well. We've developed, as we see there, I think in our second bullet point, a stakeholder or a public outreach plan, how we're going to engage for this project, especially because we do have an MCTC public outreach plan, but we wanted to make one focus specifically on this effort for the SCS since it is such a big plan. Let's take a look at the next slide. I did mention we have our website up where we have our early documents there, including the public outreach plan. That really delves into what are we doing? What is an SCS? Why are we doing this? What do we want to accomplish with that plan? But more importantly, what do we want to accomplish with our outreach goals? Who do we want to communicate with? Where is really important, going to people's communities, to people's homes. We've had workshops before at the dinner table at some of our residents in the county's house. So we're really willing to go just about anywhere if we can talk to new people. It talks about what we're going to do to engage people. How will we engage them? Workshops, meetings, public events, online functions, surveying. There's really a lot of things that we're planning to do with this. So that plan will cover that. And again, when it's got a more detailed timeline than the one I just showed you, as we do have a round of workshops scheduled for this coming winter. Right now, we're out in the community at events, the fair. Some of you might have saw us at last or 2 weekends ago. Let's take a look at the next slide, actually. At the fair, we are handing out a flyer that really introduces people to the project, as well as gives them the chance to give us their initial impressions on what is most important for Madera County in light of transportation needs and really what we're doing with the SCS. At the fair, we had a good chance to meet a lot of people that don't typically engage with MCTC and planning, things of that nature, people that are there with their family. And it's a great opportunity really to make new connections and get people who aren't typically involved interested in finding out, well, I have this idea, or I don't really know what this is, but I kind of want to learn more. So we were able to get a lot of these out. There's a QR code we have for that survey I mentioned also. So we were pleased to really get a lot of people to take that either there or take the flyers with them. They're in English and Spanish. We also had the goods to draw them in, families. We have a MCTC Public Safety Bicycle Coloring Book. It's also got a lot of games in there. We have the knickknacks, the bike reflector lights, really popular, and it really helped bring people in and start the conversation, really get them started to be involved in participating with this down the road. Let's take a look at the next slide, please. I mentioned right now the immediate activities we are doing are out in the communities. We're at the fair we were at. We'll be at the farmers market in Tesoro Viejo. Madera Boost in the Park is coming up at the end of the month. And we have the Fall Festival in Oakhurst, the Gulegueta de Madera, October 13th, and the Madera Pomegranate Festival is on the calendar too for this November. We're using all these opportunities to do what I mentioned, to really make new connections, let people know this is happening, and we're going to be in their communities come the winter, come next year, throughout the process of this project. And we want to be there at these because we get some really good ideas when we talk to new people, stuff maybe we haven't heard of, new things to think about. Especially when people come with their families and are interested in some of these things. They give us their perspective on what they do with their families or their young ones and how they get around in the city, for example, when we were doing the fair a couple weeks ago. So these are the immediate activities. Check our website if you do want to see the details on what we have planned further down the line. And we do adapt that because as we get information from people, our stakeholders, sometimes we dive into new events or try new things. So this will be the first of quite a few updates leading out to about August 2026 is when we want to finish this plan. So we'll have a lot more to come here, but these are our initial outreach things that are happening and things people can check out right now on our website for the project. With that being said, this was just information to let you know what's happening here in the short term, what we've got planned and what's available so far that people can check out as we launch this project. I would take any questions from the public or from the commissioners.
I'm sure I can have a comment. Well, Dylan, thank you again. Appreciate you putting out that Spanish literature as well and doing whatever you can to attract not only the kids, but to engage the families. There's always this talk that California over the last 30 years, Supervisor Poitras always talks about the population growth over the last 30 years. With that, Madera County is no exception. So this plan that we're putting in place, when was the last time we had a plan like this? So
We do this one every 4 years. It's required by the federal government, and that's mostly because of our air quality in the valley. If we had better air quality here, it would be a longer time frame. But we in California, most of us actually have to do every 4 years because the air quality is bad here.
Perfect. And how does the plan? How does having a plan like this position us for like trying to attract additional funds? I mean, is this what?
Well, for starters, the projects in this plan are the projects that are eligible for federal funding, and a lot of other programs too. It's really important that we list the projects we truly need in this plan. For that reason, that's one of the first requirements for funding eligibility and a lot of the programs that are out there that really have money that can fund some of these very expensive projects. So that's important. This is tied directly to our FTIP as well. We do a conformity analysis for the RTP and the FTIP come 2026. So we must conform federally also with the projects that we do have in the plan. These are all things that are going to be required. And if we didn't have those, then the project would be in a position where it's simply not eligible.
Perfect. I just wanted to illustrate that, these plans, I know in this case, it's 4 years. We have other capital improvement plans that happen in 5 years, and we have our general plans. But I mean, these are so important for us to kind of, give way to what's changing, what transportation needs. So I appreciate you trying to get this out. I hope we get enough input so that we can generate a pretty comprehensive regional transportation plan that we can use for the next following year. So thank you.
One of the benefits I would say of doing this pretty frequently is, as you know, we're doing a lot of stuff every year. We've done a lot of outreach every year, especially 2023 for other projects we worked on. So that gives us a kind of a guide on a head start on where we need to be looking and be ahead of the game in that regards too. The outreach we get from the SCS effort alone is not going to be the only thing we consider because we have so much other information that we are continuously in the process of collecting too. And that really helps. And then you did mention population. We do have another project going parallel to this right now. That's a demographic projection forecast study in light of that issue, the growth issue, right? I mean, right now, according to the state, when this plan is set to have its horizon in 2049, we're going to have less people in the county than there are today. And that's mind-boggling to think about when you think about what's happening in our area, the development that's happening, homes being built, jobs being created. So we want to take an in-depth look at that and maybe get a little more accurate picture of how we envision growth for these long-term plans.
Awesome. Well, thank you. Appreciate the presentation, Tom.
Another added comment related to Commissioner Rodriguez's question is that the SCS, the Sustainable Community Strategy, is part of this process. Our state funding, SB1 funding, you have to have an approved SCS. So it's important that we all, look at our plan and projects because those are the projects that will move forward through our SCS. So it's just to remain eligible, you have to be in the plan. Or you have to have an approved plan, I should say, not be in the plan, but an approved plan.
Thank you. Anyone else? Any members of the public?
No hands are raised online.
Thank you for that, Dylan. Now move on to 5C, draft Calvan's Joint Powers Authority Agreement revision.
Thank you, Madam Chair and Commissioners. So Cal Vans has provided a revised Joint Powers Authority Agreement for review and circulation among its member agencies. Of course, MCTC is one of those member agencies, so that's why the agreement is before you. This agreement hasn't been revised since its inception in 2011, so it is due for revision. So in April, you did see a draft version of this agreement, but since then, some of the other member agencies have submitted some other changes. So this draft actually includes all of those submitted revisions. And so this will serve as like a final review point before this final agreement is being presented to this board for adoption at a future date. So this item was for information and discussion in case there were any comments that the commissioners would like to make. And so with that, I'd open that up for a discussion, and if there are any questions, I'd be happy to try to answer them.
Any questions from the commission? Any members of the public wishing to speak? Thank you very much.
Let's not let her get away that easy.
I
Yes, come
know.
on.
Thank you so much. We'll now go MCTC sitting as the Madera County Transportation Commission. Item 6, reaffirm all actions taken while sitting as the Transportation Policy Committee. We'll entertain a motion.
I'll move to approve.
I'll second.
A first and a second. Did we have any public comment?
No hands
None.
are raised online.
Roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Rodriguez,
Yes.
Commissioner Poitras,
Yes.
Commissioner Ahmed,
Yes.
Commissioner Gallegos. Yes. Commissioner Rogers,
Yes.
Chair Gonzalez.
Yeah.
Thank you. Motion carries.
Thank you. Item 7 is the administrative consent item. Questions? Public comment?
Move to approve.
Second.
First and a second, roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Rogers,
Yes.
Commissioner Gallegos.
Yes.
Commissioner Rodriguez,
Yes.
Commissioner Ahmed,
Yes.
Commissioner Poitras,
Yes.
Chair Gonzalez.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries.
Thank you. Item 8, administrative action, discussion items, there are none. So we will now go into MCTC sitting as the Madera County 2006 Transportation Authority. Item 9, administrative consent items.
Move to approve.
Second.
Any public comment on this item?
No hands are raised online.
Roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Rogers,
Yes.
Commissioner Rodriguez,
Yes.
Commissioner Ahmed,
Yes.
Commissioner Gallegos. Yes. Commissioner Poitras,
Yes.
Gonzalez.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries.
Thank you. Item 10 is the Measure T renewal update, and I see Kendall in the audience.
Thank you, Madam Chairman and members of the board. Again, I'm Kendall Flint with DKS Associates, and I'm here to give you a brief update on our efforts for Measure T. As you know, we're continuing on the education part of our program. So we are continuing to make presentations throughout the county. I was in Oakhurst last night with the Oakhurst Chamber of Commerce. I'll be at the Chowchilla Rotary, I believe, tomorrow, and we still have a number of other events, as Dylan pointed out. But I wanted to also advise you that I'm making presentations through public comment at both the Board of Supervisors, and I'll be at the City of Madera later tonight. Let me explain to you why. When the citizens group put the petition out, God bless them, they used the exact language that we had in the initial draft of the expenditure plan that was developed through a very public process, supported by all those workshops and meetings. One thing that they did not do is wait until we added in the last bit of language that was a request from their steering committee. And that was for that 30-day review, that each agency would give the public 30 days to be able to look at how they intended to spend Measure T funds the next year. This board actually already approved that. All of the other councils and the Board of Supervisors approved it, but it didn't make it into their document. And the problem with that is that we can't go in and change that now because they got thousands and thousands of signatures, which, by the way, we're all Madera County registered voters and not out-of-town developers. These are people who cared about getting that on the ballot. So what's happened in the last couple of weeks is that there's been some talk that because of the developers, that they intentionally removed that 30-day window from the measure to somehow do like a bait and switch thing, which we know to be completely baseless and a false claim. But one of the ways that we can overcome that is by getting the cities and the county to pass resolutions in advance of the election that just say, hey, this is what we meant to do anyway. That's what we need to do. Let's be smart about it. I did speak with the county's administrator this morning with Jay Varney. We'll be working with through the city managers. It's not a big issue, but from an education standpoint, we just want to make sure people understand it's exactly the same measure that moved through the public process. And the fact that it's being taken out now by a citizens group, the reason they did it is frankly that they wanted to see if they could get it an easier passage. And that is true because it only takes a simple majority of 50% when you have a citizen initiative as opposed to an agency initiative, which takes a 2/3 vote. So really, that's the only fundamental change. And I want to make sure people are very clear on that. I've been playing whack-a-mole online for the last couple of days with some of the things that are out there. So I encourage board members and you speak to your council members and your other folks, your support in getting the accurate information into the public at this juncture is critical. So we'll be continuing that effort. We will be doing a mailer that'll drop in a couple of weeks. It'll just be facts about what's in the measure, what isn't, and just reestablishing all of that. But just to be clear, it is the same measure, no other changes. And it's the same measure that I would like to reiterate again was unanimously approved by every member of our steering committee. So that's really it. I'm available to answer any other questions you might have about the process or what we're trying to do.
Any questions from the commission?
Let's have a comment. Thank you, Madam Chair. So coincidentally, we had our expenditure plan approved last month. I mean, this is not part of the new expenditure plan that was approved here by the steering committee and the citizens initiative, but you know, I knew that was important. That was very important. So we had ours extended out an additional 15 days because MCTC needed that. Now, there is a public hearing process that goes through that. There is a notice on the paper. So there's plenty of time there, but we figured adding that language would certainly help. So we're kind of ahead of that. I know that most of the city managers and or the county CAO may have already done that. I don't know where Chowchilla's at, but I'm assuming that we're all pretty much on board. So I don't think that would be a problem. So I'm glad to
For
hear
sure,
that.
hoping not, but
Yeah.
I think that the goal there, and thank you so much for that. I think the goal is just to make sure that we're going to share the language that was in the original measure. And really what we're finding, and that's kind of in the context, so many of you put out an annual work plan or an annual report or a CIP. And for members of the public, that means absolutely nothing to them. They have no idea what that is. But if you say, this is the funding we got from Measure T, and this is what we're going to do with Measure T Monday next year, that makes sense to people. And so it's kind of taking that step, not only to have the outreach, but to present it in a manner that is accessible to everyone so they don't feel like you're doing things without their knowledge. And so I think that's one thing we heard in the whole process for the last year and a half. That people just want to know. They want to know what's going on with the money and everything else. And as I think you all know, the steering committee really strengthened the citizen oversight committee. There's now money in the measure for additional outreach and a website presence. They can even hire their own auditor to look at everything. So everything that people said they wanted in this process was addressed, with the exception of the remake of this board, which was not in our purview to do. And so that's it. So.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Is there some kind of a timeline that you'd like to have the resolution passed? Certain time?
Well, I think in the ideal world, the county I know is trying to move forward for their October 1st, and Jared was kind enough to provide me a staff report template, so I'm going to be working on that tonight for them. But I would say at the next available meeting, because what, saying, and I was speaking with some folks from Fairmead about that too, saying you're going to do it and doing it are two different things for the public, right? So you can't say we're going to do it and then wait till after the election. You need to do it now. So the sooner you can get it on an agenda and get it passed, I think the better off the public will feel about the true intention of each of the cities and the county board of supervisors.
Thank you. And one last comment. So I think it's important to illustrate that the annual expenditure plan of Measure T dollars goes into a lot of these capital improvement projects. So we have to draw the relationship that correlates with both of them. I think having an annual expenditure plan just says, okay, this is how you're going to use these dollars from Measure T.
Right.
Where are they going to? And I think it's important to make sure we illustrate that so that folks understand that two are different, but monies from here are certainly the impact, the ability for us to move on those capital improvement projects.
We've been talking a lot about the leveraging of funds, the fact that, and I think as you know, Tricia was just mentioning for SB1 funding, others, we take Measure T money and theoretically make that get larger. And so the projection for this round of Measure T, if it is renewed, is somewhere in the neighborhood of $750 million. I think the other thing to keep in mind, when a PAC is formed, there's information out there that shows that this is all funded by developer interests and firms like mine that do transportation, and that's true. But to be clear, any assessment that the money that goes into Measure T is given to developers is completely false. And in fact, there's language in the measure that specifically calls out that developers still have to pay their fair share, pay for the roads that they put in, pay for the infrastructure. There's no pass. And what I found in my career, at least, the reason that they would contribute is because it overall increases property values when in fact roads are better and access is better. But I think that's something, again, it's very important for all of you in your conversations with your constituencies to make sure that they understand that and are not, don't believe what is clearly a false
Absolutely.
thing. And so I, as I told Tricia, I'm playing hardball at this point because they're kind of making stuff up that's just crazy. I'm not telling anybody to vote yes or vote no. I'm just saying, just read. And if you read the stuff, you can make up your own mind.
Facts, right?
But that's what you got to do because it's the silly season.
Yeah, and I think the important thing is that to reflect the autonomy of every lead agency.
Correct.
This is not a decision that any of these commissioners make with what happens and what takes place with every agencies and or municipalities projects.
Right.
That is done at the agency level and not here, right? Regional projects that we all agree on, that's different. But when it comes to these other things that matter to our constituency, it's important to know that we have our own autonomy.
You know, what's interesting to me is that I believe Jared could speak to this better than I could, but Tesoro Viejo and Riverstone, which is probably who they're alluding to, are governed by CSAs, and the CSAs pay for everything in those subdivisions, and the developer has paid for everything in the subdivisions. Those subdivisions are probably not going to use a dime of Measure T money as a result of what's going on in those CSAs. So it's just, I think it's erroneous. Jared, is that a fair statement?
Yeah.
You tell me, Jared.
Yeah, good afternoon, Board, Jared with the Public Works. Yeah, Supervisor Rogers, you're correct. Most of those developments that we do have that come online have their own mechanism for paying for their maintenance and their road maintenance within them. So they are essentially self-funded. We don't use road fund or Measure T dollars and those things to do maintenance in there. And that's by design and,
right,
you know, on purpose, right? I think everybody knows cities are in the same boat as the county. We are severely underfunded when it comes to road maintenance dollars. So, we definitely don't want to take on more and make that problem bigger for ourselves. And so, you know, for the county's purposes, we do that with CSAs and maintenance districts.
And that's probably the way subdivisions will be done in the future. It's been very successful. You know, we, like you said, we don't want to go back to the old way of doing things where we're falling behind all the time. So
Yeah.
Thank you for the comment.
Commissioner Poithers has his hand.
I'd just like to thank Commissioner Rogers for mentioning that because it's absolutely true. It's just not people that are in the mountains or other county areas. There's actually electeds in our cities who are confused in terms of how the developments are funded, and it's developer money. It's really the residents who buy in these new developments that are paying full bore for all of everything that goes on through their taxes, CSAs, for the roads, et cetera, et cetera. So Again, thank you, Commissioner, for bringing that up.
Thank you. I believe Commissioner Gallegos had a comment.
Yes, thank you, Chair Gonzalez. I have heard a lot of opposition, Kendall, and this is just what I'm hearing out there, is they're not getting that this was a citizens committee that came up with this division of money that we're going to use for Measure T. So what I'm trying to let them know is they're upset. I don't know why people are upset about the percentage that's changed now, because the citizens are putting on the ballot and not the entities that have pulled this together. And so the concern I have is in the literature, is there somewhere we can put these citizens that were part of this committee, maybe just some quotes or just a sentence or two of showing that they're just like you and I, and we're out there, you know, citizens in this community saying that we've worked hard, we've put hours into this. This is, the percentage shouldn't be an issue. I don't know why they're all making it a big issue about if it passes, it has to be at this percentage. They were fine, but once it went down lower, they kind of freaked out.
Well, a couple things. One, the citizens that appeared on the committee are private citizens. So I'm reluctant to kind of go full out on that and sort of out them, but we are including information that talks about the diversity and the fact that there were, 17 regular attendees, that they were 50-50 male, female, 50-50 Hispanic, not Hispanic, age differences, all these other things that I think are important. I think there's been comments that this was somehow a way to pull a fast one on people, right? And that's I get it, because like, well, if it's 2/3, then we have to really make sure that, it goes with that. But the fact of the matter is that the majority of residents in the county and in the city of Madera and the city of Chowchilla, the majority in the last election and in all the polling substantially support the idea of this type of investment. But that's why it's very important for them to have factual information. And I cannot understate the importance for all the board members, all the council members, to be having these conversations now. We'll do everything we can, but again, we are constrained with just education, right? So we can't really go there. There is another group that's doing the other part of it, and we'll see what that happens. But I think the thing to remember for folks is that to assert that you can kick this to 2026 is not going to happen. Because if I'm Madera, I'm going to call a special election immediately and pass it, right? And then we're in that cap where we can't get another ballot initiative on the 2026. And to say we'll get it right in 2026 is a false flag, because they got everything they asked for in this measure. The only thing they didn't get was a remake of the board. So it's like, we can't make, you're moving the goalposts on us. You can't make us happy. We are going to make it clear that very different opinions, Republican, Democrat, long-term residents, students, parents, people who are in education. It was a very diverse group. And I'm not going to lie, it was, Ellen saw a couple of, it was a very spirited discussion on various occasions. But they did all come out at the end and they did all agree. And I think that's the thing we have to be cognizant of. This board told me, and I represented to them, that you would accept whatever they came up with, and you did not change a lick on what they said. So you did not change word one. It was exactly as we went line by line through it. So again, to assess or to assert that anything other than that happened is not true. And I, for one, am getting a little tired of that.
Yeah. So Kendall, we're 48 days until election. Are we doing any posters or yard signs or anything? Or just education?
I can't help you with that.
So the citizens.
That's the PAC is got to do that. It's a
Okay.
political action committee for those that are watching this later. And so the way that this thing works is that I know they're out there. I know they're going to do things. I've seen the numbers. They've got, last count, probably about $200,000, but I have no idea what they're going to do with it. I don't know what their plan is. I know my plan is just to keep out there and try to tell people as factually as I can, and then make up your own mind.
Yeah, I wanted to add one more thing to my comment earlier about Tesoro Viejo and Riverstone carrying their own weight. They will not touch Measure T, as Jared pointed out. But I'll go one step a little further with that, and I'll state this. I don't believe there's a single developer in Madera County that will benefit from Measure T.
In terms of their
in
projects?
terms of their projects.
Yeah, again, it's not, I don't think people understand this, it's not legal. So the developer has through California state law, maybe 1600, I think it is. Yeah, you have to, they do an independent assessment of what your impact is, whether that's a new intersection, new something, whatever it is. And the developer either has to build those improvements or fund those improvements or put into a fund where as future development comes on, it gets done.
Right.
But again, their benefit or their perceived benefit is the overall improvement of life here in the
Right.
county. And for those that haven't looked at it recently, just Jared did a great job of showing what pavement condition is like. And yes, we have bad roads. You know why? Because we don't have enough money. So in the new measure, there's substantially more money going to local street and road maintenance and the projections. And I think you just got that study done somewhat recently, but I think if they put it at 16.5 million per year, that could potentially raise the pavement condition overall in the county up around 50. But if there is no money coming in and we continue to see declines in SB1 funding, then that number is going to drop. And the only way that it will right itself is if the county reassesses or reallocates funding, because you currently don't have anything in general fund going there, which means you're going to have to touch police, fire, parks, health and human services, something else, because it's not, there's no magic money tree that just exists, right? You'll have to come up with another means. And I think that's the important message that people really need to understand.
And I will go on and add this last thing, right? So, one of the things that I think would be important for people to notice is that, you know, you have major corridors. With this new measure, obviously, it allocates a certain amount of money to these corridors that are shaping in these areas of development, right? So if I am living out there, I've driven down there, down to 41, and I also drive down to 99. And I would invite anyone to come down to 99 about 3 o'clock on any afternoon. And you got to explain that to our constituency as to why I can't get to a certain place. You know, if we're trying to do capacity projects and direction of our can certainly attest to this, it's really hard when you have opposing measures that are not helping us grow in the capacity where we can actually reduce the congestion, air quality, and what have you. So all that really helps us. So if you're going to say that, come and drive out here about 3:30. Come out there and drive at 3:30. And you'll see the issues that you're facing. You need to let your constituency know why this is a bad idea, when in fact it's actually doing the opposite and relieving those issues of congestion.
I'll open it up to the public. Does the public have any comments? I see none online. Thank you for the update, Kendall. Appreciate it, and we will definitely see you around in the next, what, 48 days. Who's counting?
Forever.
Thank you. We'll now start with miscellaneous items from staff.
Yes, I have one item. I'd like to congratulate Troy. He became a grandpa a couple days ago. So he's out in Utah right now with his little baby girl. I'll let him provide some of the details for you if he wishes to do so. Other than that, we have, the next few months ahead of us, working hard on the RTP SES. And thank you, Dylan, and everyone with the public outreach efforts and going over and above on their evening and weekend hours. So appreciate all of that. So Troy, I'm not sure if you wanted to add a couple comments regarding your little girl.
Yeah, thank you, Tricia. Yeah, our first granddaughter, Brinley Ann, she was born Friday night, and she's 7 pounds, 13 ounces, 21.5 inches. So a good, healthy baby. She did have to go in the NICU for a few days. She's there right now, but she should be fine and should be coming home here in a couple of days. And mom's doing well, and we're just tickled pink. So, so Gigi and Poppy are very excited.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
So, we were reached out to by City of Madera staff regarding their application through the Rail Crossing Elimination Program for the Cleveland Country Club intersection. We don't have to talk a whole lot about it in here or do any analysis or anything. We know that anything we can do to help that project along is really needed, especially in light of the tragedy a few weeks ago. So we'll have a letter of support that we've sent to their staff. We usually have this in a consent calendar, so we have a record of letters like this that we send out to our partners, but I just want to bring that to your attention.
We, the board also approved the letter of support at yesterday's board meeting.
Right.
You should be receiving that. Okay, thank you. Items from Caltrans.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good afternoon, Commissioners. I remember when I first started Caltrans, there was a engineering conference. They used that 99 in Cleveland as a case study of interchanges with, let's say it was a challenge, right? So I think we're actually processing hopefully a letter of support as well that came to us from Madera. So we're working that through our headquarters chains. And I'm glad you went because I didn't want to go after Troy's news because I feel like I have nothing to share after Troy talks about having a grandbaby. But I do feel compelled to thank Jared just because everybody else is thanking Jared. So thanks for being here, Jared. I don't know everybody thank Jared. I feel like it's an obligation to thank Jared for something, but thank you. Jared's always great. No, but seriously, getting a few updates. So we're going through that time of year where we do our call for Caltrans planning grants. The Madera region has been quite successful, especially Madera County. They've received 2 grants in the last couple of years for the Oakhurst area community plan efforts they've been going through. So I do encourage you if you have ideas. Last year, District 6 was extremely successful. We had 15 applicants from our region, and 12 of them were awarded. So if you have planning studies in your communities you're looking to fund, please work with me and my staff. The grant guide is out for public review right now. There'll be some virtual workshops that we'll send to your teams for early October. We expect the call for project to be, our grant application to be in November or December. Also today, I'm comfortable bringing this up because Supervisor Poitras is virtual, but today we had a CAPTI public workshop in person, very well attended. We had I think about 30 attendees. MCTC was there. We had partners from Merced. There was also a virtual one yesterday, had about 160 people call in, talking about CAPTI and the updates they're doing there for climate action plan for transportation infrastructure. So the talks about the 99 projects and the DMT. I do encourage you to attend the virtual workshops or have your staff attend them because we do have to navigate that process. And we look to do some of these improvements we're doing along 99 and how to play in the confines of CAPTI. So it'd be good to listen and get educated on that. We continue to work our Stay Route 99 comprehensive multimodal corridor plan. We hope to have a website completed this month where we'll house all the public engagement videos, as well as we're at that point of the study where we're starting to identify solutions based on the baseline information our partners have provided to us. We'll be posting those on the website as well. We seem to be well on target with the consultant. The commitment was for the ITIP funds for the Madera Avenue 7 to 12 project, which is supposed to start construction fall of next year, that we have the CMCP completed. And so we're supposed to have it completed by June of next year. So well in time for the allocation for construction for that project from Avenue 7 to Avenue 12. So another gap being filled along the 99 corridor. We did have a kickoff for the north section from Avenue 17 to Avenue 22. So we are doing an environmental work on that. You're probably looking at about a 2-year study. We'll have to analyze things like BMT and all those things, all those fun things as we go forward. So looking forward to that project. Continue to work on the design phase of the downtown Madera improvements. So we had our 95% constructability review. So we plan to have a design wrapped up by January of this year and then get it ready for fall construction for the downtown Madera 145. Cottonwood Creek, so that's the improvements going on near 99 Avenue 12 interchange. That project is anticipated to be complete this spring. We're looking at targeting opening the southbound on-ramp October 1st and probably late November for the northbound off-ramp. Madera South Expressway, we're talking about the Madera 41 corridor. So Caltrans an oversight role. Madera County is taking the lead, but as you heard in the news, a lot of attention about the incidents that occurred out there at Avenue 12. So I know our leadership met with Madera County recently and have asked us to kind of look at some near-term improvements we might be able to implement on the Avenue 12 leg. So our operations staff is looking at opportunities that, looking at things like the feasibility of dual rides and some intersection capacity improvements that'll string us along until the actual project goes to construction for the 41 expressway. And that completes my update. Happy to answer any questions.
Commissioner Poitras has his hand raised. Yes, Commissioner Poitras.
Very good. Thank you very much. And thank you, Michael. A couple of the things that I was going to ask about, you actually commented on. And one, of course, was the multimodal study for 99. And I heard 2 dates that I was looking to hear, June of next year, as well as fall of 25. So that was good. It sounds like everything is moving along as according to Hoyle. And second of all, these CAPTI workshops, you know, I noticed that there's 3 days in a row that they're occurring on, and it's and unfortunately because of schedules and meetings, it's been difficult. Are these mainly for staff? Are they for the general public? Are they for electeds? Who are these? Who are these focused? What's the focus of these workshops?
Anybody who'd like to attend, they are trying to get the word out. As I mentioned yesterday, the virtual one had about 160 attendees, and I say it was quite a mix. Today at the in-person workshop, it was primarily the participants were different MPO staff as well as local agencies in attendance today. Economic development was there as well today. In the meeting virtually yesterday, it was a whole mix of you had community-based organizations as well, in addition to the local agencies.
And what was the purpose? What were they looking for?
Feedback. So essentially they did some outreach earlier in the year in the north and southern parts of the state. And so now they're going through and revisiting the action items with CAPTI. So basically it was to get feedback. We went through all the action items and gave the opportunity to get public feedback.
Okay, was private industry, were private industry folks reached out to, or, you know, trucking industry, people like that, or is it mainly more government or CBOs?
I can't speak to that. I'm not sure if private industry was included as well. I'd have to follow up with Calsta on that. I didn't see any in attendance today other than it was in Fresno. So like Fresno Economic Development Corporation was there today, Fresno EDC. Well, I guess you could speak on behalf of the industry, but I'd have to get the contact list from Calsta to verify.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think overall it just shows a concern of mine that I've had for a long, long time, and on many different levels, about how private industry in such an important document that is actually going to be pretty punitive, you know, for industry and the regulatory environment, how it seems like they're not at the table. It's more, again, CBOs and training or planning agencies and so forth, which is important. But the people that it directly affects, it seems like it's they're just not there, not invited or not encouraged to attend in a process that's going to really, I believe, again, it's not going to be something that's going to improve things for them. It's going to be punitive. So, and also it would be nice to, you know, have a different time to make it more convenient for people to participate. You know, those who, you know, I mean, they have it 3 in a row. If somebody's at a conference for 3 consecutive days, they're not going to be able to participate. So it'd be nice if they broke it out a little bit. It'd be nice if you could pass that along. Because again, I think it's, you know, it's been my concern for the lack of transparency. And then the last thing I wanted to mention was Councilmember Rodriguez and I had a chance to meet with some folks from Chansey last week, and they'd like to have a meeting with some people from District 6, and we told them that you know, we really value our relationship, and we know the District 6 office is really great about outreach and so forth. They're concerned about construction that's occurring on Highway 41, and a lot of their gamers and people that head up to the casino. When there's construction at night, that's the time that a lot of people are on the road heading up there, and so they want to reach out. And I did get a card. I don't think I have it on me for the vice chair, but I don't know if you have any contact information for the chair or the vice chair, because they would like to talk to you and about this issue. And that's it.
Thank you, Supervisor. That's all great feedback related to CAPTI, Calsta, which I'm happy to pass along, and then happy to reach out to our contacts at Chansey, set up a meeting. I'd like to participate, and I include our construction office as well. We handle the traffic staging and handle it.
Okay, so, and I don't know, do you know who the contacts are up there? Do you have the, you know, unfortunately, you know, they change councils every 2 years, and so it makes it difficult know, you know, who's there and who's not. So if you need something, or if you haven't been in contact with them recently, please let me know, because we can get you that information.
I have a Native American liaison on staff. I know we just reached out to them a couple of weeks ago on a separate issue, so I'll start there. If I have any issues, then I'll circle back with you, if that's okay.
Thank you.
Sir.
Director Taylor, you have your hand up?
Yeah, just to add to a couple comments. Well, first to the Chancey contact. We are required and of course willing and to work with Chancey as well, intergovernmental working relationships. And so if you want to send over the contact information, we would be interested in speaking with them, especially during the development of our plans and programs. The other question, your point is well taken regarding CapTI. I did attend yesterday's workshop virtually, and it was as mentioned by Michael, that it was a diverse group of people dominated by certain individuals, which is fine. That's what it's, you know, it's for feedback. Not sure what process we're going to take in terms of writing comments, if we're going to do valley-wide comments or comments directly from the Madera County region. But definitely we'll be providing some sort of feedback and comments. The goal, they were kind of coming up with goals, and it, to me, the message that was sent is criteria and policies for transportation funding, state funding, and, you know, to align with the state's goals related to climate change and greenhouse gas emission reductions and so on and so forth. So staff was there today in Fresno. I thought there was going to be a link for virtual as well, so I signed up, but I didn't realize it was only in person only. But I did attend yesterday's, and it may listen in tomorrow. We were encouraged to attend by Commissioner Eager, and I made contact with her, and we'll be meeting with her on Friday briefly. So she and I will be discussing on Friday as well. But I think, you know, the one size fit does not fit all type of a concept needs to be driven home again, because some of the comments that were received is, you know, we're not going far enough. We need to go further. We need to do, but that was just yesterday's. I was not at today's crowd, and commenters are probably completely, you know, different focus areas. So I believe the directors will probably get together, have a discussion, write comments, and we'll probably write comments as well. But all your points about private industry is well taken. We can add that as well, and, you know, kind of see what they're doing in regards to the private industry, because it does impact everyone in the state of California, businesses, government, and the like. So.
Thank you. I see the Commissioner Poitras has his hand up again.
Very good. Thank you very much. And thank you, Tricia, for those comments and the follow-up. You know, you mentioned the one size fits all, and I'm taking a break to attend this meeting from a RCRC meeting. And we had, just in the various sessions that we've had today, we've heard from a couple of our legislators, Brian Dawley, a state senator who's terming out, as well as James Gallagher. And in this issue, this thing about one size fits all was brought up quite a few times a day in the exact language, one size fits all. And it was not about transportation. It was about other, you know, many other issues and things around the state. And it's it's prevalent. And unfortunately, it's just not in this arena. So I just wanted to mention that we need to continue to you know, fight for what works for our region, and that also I don't know if it's misery likes company or if it's an encouragement, but we're not alone. So thank you very much.
And Director Navarro.
Yeah, I actually want to respond to Director Taylor's comment, and I didn't call in yesterday. I plan on calling tomorrow, but I think the dynamics may have been a little different today, and there were a couple of MPO directors at this morning's meeting. Director Guzman from Merced, and then Interim Director Phipps for Fresno. So I will say a lot of the concerns about the one size fit all and the Valley focus was voiced today at today's meeting based on the participation that was there today. So I think the Valley was represented. So I just wanted to share that.
Thank you.
Good. Thank you.
The Commissioner reports. We'll start with Commissioner Rodriguez.
You know, I didn't have nothing to report, but talking on that, that intersection on, Cleveland, Gateway, Avenue 16 and three others. Ellen, what did you call that one time you presented? Was that something hallelujah? What was it?
Intersection.
There you go.
Make it through.
That's what we refer to, the hallelujah intersection. So yeah, thank you again for bringing that up and that support there, Dylan. Appreciate that. That's all.
Commissioner Ahmed?
Yeah, I just have a couple of comments. First, I wanted to thank the Caltrans for helping us secure the Clean California grant. As we know, the final project bid came out over the amount, and I want to thank for all that securing the grant. Also wanted to request that if we can, still waiting on the TMP plan, the Transportation Management Plan approval. The comments that we received, I believe they were on the older version. And we're still waiting on for the final version.
Okay.
So we can get that finalized, so at least we can have the project moving forward.
Okay.
Thank you.
Commissioner Gallegos?
No comment.
Commissioner Rogers?
Yeah, I was asked by the Fossil Discovery Center and the Rotary to ask Caltrans if they would consider a similar type of motif on Avenue 21.5 overpass, the 164 exit, as they had in Merced County. And maybe you could diversify a little bit by, there are some fossils that were found there that are unique, like the saber-tooth tiger. You could do saber-tooths and mammoths, because you get the mammoth orange now there. That's a historical site. That is definitely gonna be something right there. A lot of people are coming in there just to see that mammoth orange. And so it'd be a really neat deal.
Yeah, that's come up. I received a phone call from somebody from the Fossil Center with a similar question. I hadn't seen I hadn't driven the overcrossing yet. And I just shared that, we are kicking off environmental on that segment there.
Right.
I know we were able to do that in District 10 as a form of environmental mitigation. So I definitely encourage her to be involved in that process, and we can notify her. And we actually, I think as an executive team, we're actually just go down there for a tour, I think in December.
Great.
And tour the Fossil Center. So,
Yeah, there's
comment note.
it's really, really changed.
Yeah.
Thank you. Commissioner Poitras, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, I'd just like to mention that we talked earlier about the request for the letter of support from the city of Madera. And I think in the from the person who sent us a request, there was some information in there. They referred to us as a valued partner. And we talked earlier, I heard the word partner about this particular project. And I just like to say, absolutely, we are, I know it's been said by some that there is no relationship between the city and the county, and that's absolutely a false statement. We have a very strong relationship, and I believe that this acknowledgement from the city of Madera that we're a valued partner and our willingness to support a city project like this in many other ways too, as far as law enforcement efforts and joint projects and other cooperative units, shows that we do have that really, really great relationship. We have things like the MCTC, we have our the Valley Voice, myself and Commissioner Rodriguez working together. And I think the list is long. So I just like to point out, it's my pleasure and honor to be able to present and actually approve my colleagues this letter of support for this project, which is so important for all of our residents. So thank you very much.
Thank you. With that, there's no closed session, so we will stand adjourned.
Thank you.
Chairman, everyone.
Thanks for whatever you can do on that.
Good seeing you.
Yeah, that'd be a big deal. I mean.
Thank you. Have a good night.